Hello and welcome to School Matters. Thanks for joining us today. With today's program, you're in for a special treat. We're talking about robotics with Cleveland County Schools. We have two guests with us today. We have Mr. Lawson Probst and we have Ms. Lorraine Moyer. And both of them are teachers at Fallston Elementary School and your robotics coaches, longtime robotics coaches. And your team was the winner of this year's robotics competition.
That's correct.
So congratulations there, first
Thank
off.
you.
But if you don't mind, just to kick things off, if you will just briefly introduce yourselves, tell us what you do at Fallston Elementary School. Give us just a little bit of background about each one of you, if you want to start, Mr. Probst.
Sure. I've been a teacher at Fallston for about 18 years now. I teach fifth grade science primarily now. I've been helping coach robotics at Fallston for about 13 years now as well. And so I'm a general education teacher at this point.
Okay, great. And
I'm Lorraine Moyer. I have been teaching at Fallston for 24 years, and I teach the AIG, the gifted program now, and I teach next door to him. I do the robotics. I am the math coach as well, and do the spelling bee as well for our school.
wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you both for being here, and congratulations again to you. Talk about how long Fallston Elementary School has had a robotics program. Give us a little bit about that history and how it's evolved, if you don't mind, either one of you.
Sure. Well, Fallston has had a robotics team since the 2011-2012 school year. It was introduced to us by a parent, actually. And so Burns Middle School in Fallston started working with a company called Cyber Kids Robotics. And we participated in the later half of the school year that year, doing robotics. And then from there, we progressed to do First Lego League, FLL, which was a regional and state. And we had, we competed regionally, placed regionally. We competed at state level for several years. And then Cleveland County Schools began picking up robotics with all elementary and all middle schools across the county. And so Fallston has participated, again, regionally within the state, and then within the county most recently. Of course, now we typically focus just on the county competitions now instead of the large FLL tournaments of the past.
So Fallston Elementary kind of pioneered the way for Cleveland County Schools robotics.
Somewhat.
All right, and if you don't mind, Ms. Moyer, maybe you can answer this question. The structure of a tournament, Cleveland County Schools robotics tournament, talk about that. What does it look like?
There's actually three parts. There's the robot runs, which is a big part for our students, but there's also some parts that people might not put specifically with robotics. There's a big teamwork component, and then there's also a research and presentation part of the competition as well. So there's actually three parts to it, and that's how they get their score. Over those three parts, they get a collective score, and that's how they place first, second, and third place.
Okay, great. And again, the Fallston Elementary School team placed first this year in the robotics competition, which was held very recently.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, you work all year toward this competition, I guess, correct?
Yes, we do.
Are there preliminary runs, practice runs, so to speak?
Well, there was first an interest, amongst students. Teachers recommended students for the robotics program, and then we had a tryout. Because we can only have a certain number of students, being the two of us. We had quite a few that tried out, and we kind of did it with a blind rubric. They actually participated in that tryout, doing some of the same tasks that, in a short format that they would do for those robotics tournaments. Short research, a little presentation, robot building type things, and we scored those, and we just kind of tallied all those scores together. Top scores we invited. If someone for some reason declined, then we would go to the next score. So students did try out for that. And so, yes, these students have been working since the beginning of the school year. They've been working all year long.
And you have how many students on a team? How many make up?
We had 6 this year,
6, okay.
which is a good it's a good number, because if you have a lot of kids, you'll have some that are kind of off task, or they don't really know exactly what to do. 6 is a great number because they can kind of split up into groups of 3 or groups of 2 and work on various parts of projects and robot runs and things such as that.
Okay. So what do you think, what made your team stand out in this year's competition to claim first place?
Well,
What do you
know,
think?
Our team, just from the start, was just, they were so great with each other. They were friends. They bonded so quickly. So that made our job very easy to find that balance of the discipline of robotics and the leadership qualities that we need from our students, and then the teamwork as well. And our students came in, they had that. It was a really wonderful team to work with. So they were easy to coach because they already had some foundational skills.
Okay, great. So during your preparation throughout the school year, or the robotics season, if you will, are there any particular, you said they were kind of bonded already when you got them, but are there any moments or turning points you can think of that really you could visually see that, okay, they're ready?
Well, the students, they would bounce ideas off of each other all the time. They were good at coming up with an idea, discussing it with each other, testing it out, and then if something failed, if it failed, that's something that that Lorraine and I allowed the students to do. Instead of we didn't tell them, okay, you need to do it this way. It was student led, and so if the students failed, they would discuss, why did something fail? What can we change? And I watched them all season long pick each other up. If one of them got frustrated, almost to the point of tears, because the robot didn't work the way they expected it to, or something on the project didn't turn out the way they thought, they would bring each other back, and they'd say, "Come on, you've got this. We can look at this. We can change this. We'll try it again."
Okay. So what does preparation look like leading up to a competition? Just talk about that a little bit, if you will.
I think a lot of what we do is, like Lawson said, it's student-led. We're just there to facilitate and to coach that way. We don't step in, we step back. And so even when we go, the county has some challenge days that we go and kind of work through some things.
Which is part of the preparation.
Which is part of the preparation, yeah. We step way back and we let our students take the front, and they're the ones that are leading this team, not us. We're just there to guide them along the way and help them. If they really get stuck, we're there to help them with questions, and we can probe them with questions and try to get them to think it through, because there's a lot of problem solving, there's a lot of failing, there's a lot of successes along the way, and it does take us all year. I think we were, the Thursday before the competition, we had a huge breakthrough. Just the day before the competition, we had a huge breakthrough, and we're able to make some major changes in what we were doing because of a student had an idea, and we thought, well, let's try it and see what happens. And so we tested it, and it worked. And so, it's for always changing and always evolving. And where we start at the beginning of the year is nowhere close to where we end at the end of the competition. Not
I can
anywhere
imagine.
close.
So the breakthrough or the student idea did that have to do with the robot?
It
or the
was,
run?
did.
yes,
Okay.
yeah, it was.
Okay, all right, great. Well, how do you support your students? You said they really take the lead and they get themselves ready, prepare themselves, but you're there to support. So how do you support them and find a balance between competition, stress, learning, creativity? How do you help them find that balance?
We push them. We push them.
We do push them.
We put them in situations where we know that it's going to be like the competition. We get really rowdy and we're yelling because we know that the room's going to be loud. We try to really prepare
we get
them
loud.
that way. We, I hate to say set them up to fail, but we do make it difficult so that they experience that failure, because these students have not experienced that before. And so we talk about things the day of that may have to be changed and how they can do that, because the robot they're setting it up themselves. It's not set up by a machine. So if they make a little mistake, we have to teach them how that they can adjust that on the fly. So there's a lot that we do, just talking them through different scenarios and situations and how they can adjust things on the fly and in that moment.
Talk about just the skills that students are able to receive, to learn, to develop and grow through a robotics program, those technical skills as well as the soft skills. Talk about that a little bit.
They're really working with a lot of technology with the robot, whether it's dealing with sensors, whether it's dealing with block coding that they do with the EV3 robot. But they also, speaking of those soft skills, these students learn how to speak to other people, speak to people that they don't know. They're kind of preparing for almost like an interview. They learn how to greet other people, how to treat other teams with respect. There's a big saying about gracious professionalism within the robotics program. That's the world doesn't revolve around us and our robotics team. It revolves with everybody. We help each other out. We cheer each other on, and so that's a major part as well. Not just the successes, but applauding the success of other people as well. These students, have put in a lot of work, and sometimes we slip up and we might, say the wrong thing, and we talk about it. We do. I ask them, I'll ask them things like, how would you feel if someone referred, said something like this about your team, and they said, well, I wouldn't like it. I said I wouldn't either, and it helps us to grow as individuals as well.
Okay, very good, well said. We're going to take a quick break, so don't go anywhere, and don't you go anywhere. We'll be back right after this.
Chef Paul Prudhomme once said, "You don't need a silver fork to eat good food." Well, on Cleveland County Kitchen, we don't have a silver fork, but we sure do serve up lots of good food. Hi, I'm Deborah Blanton. I hope you'll join me for the next Cleveland County Kitchen. Each month, we offer a complete farm-to-table experience. We visit local growers, we learn about nutrition, and wrap things up with wonderful meals prepared by our guest chefs. It's a lot of fun. I hope you'll join me for the next Cleveland County Kitchen.
For many kids, just showing up to school is a challenge. Staying through graduation is even harder. So at Communities and Schools, we do just what our name says. Our staff brings a community of resources to meet each student's needs right in their school, doing whatever it takes to keep kids focused so they see what we see, a bright future. Join in at communitiesinschools.org.
Welcome back to School Matters. On our program today, we're talking about robotics in Cleveland County Schools. And with us today are Lawson Probst and Lorraine Moyer, and they are coaches for the robotics team at Falston Elementary School, which recently received first place in the Cleveland County Schools competition. Again, congratulations to your team on that. Quite an accomplishment. How many times have you won first place in the competition?
Since the beginning, we've won
Just a guess.
We've won first place quite a bit.
I think we've
Right,
I want to
great.
say
placed
probably
every year.
Yeah, we've placed most years. We've probably won the thing
Okay.
6 years I
So we're
guess
we're
6
talking
or
a
7
legacy
years.
here.
Yeah,
That's
we've
great.
won quite a bit.
That's wonderful. That is great.
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking earlier about kind of a breakthrough moment that there was during your preparation for the competition or during the competition. So give us some more detail about that.
All right, so the students, one of the biggest things that they were run into, for robot runs, they have 2.5 minutes for a robot to go around this table with obstacles and to complete tasks. The robot completes tasks, and they program the robot to do so. A lot of the tasks this year dealt with carrying objects from one place to another.
Okay.
And so the students did some research, and they looked at what kinds of attachments can we build for a robot that would allow us to carry, and they found this thing that looked like a claw. A lot of groups have, one of the typical things you'll see at these robotics tournaments, they'll have a lift, they'll have a, kind of a little arm that raises and lowers things. And a lot of teams, if you watch them during the tournament, they had this arm that would lift and carry things from one place to another and then
But
drop
they
it.
designed that arm.
But they designed it,
Okay.
yeah. Our team designed something that looked like a claw. So instead of lifting and lowering, it opened and then closed and grasped onto things. And so they were able to use the motors and such on the robot, and it would grab things and carry it from one place to another. And it was something completely different. And so our kids had a lift arm and the claw, and they were trying to program between it. But the Thursday before the championship tournament, one of the kids said, hey, what if we tried just using the claw on all of our, because all of our tasks, because it was taking a lot of time switching between those two attachments. It ate up the clock. And so on that Thursday afternoon practice, right before the tournament, they tried all of their tasks and changed a little bit to just use that one attachment, and were able to complete all of the tasks that they had attempted to program, and the claw worked for all of it. So that was a big breakthrough,
Wow.
a big time saver, a big points earner.
And it brought a crowd.
Wonderful.
And it brought a crowd at the tournament, yeah, because it was
was-
something different.
Everybody
something
wanted to
different.
see.
Yeah.
Okay, great. That's awesome. Great story. Thanks for sharing that. You talked earlier about allowing your students to fail. So talk about how you do help students handle challenges, failures, along with the stress of a competition.
Well, we practice it. That's number one. We don't go into any competition with any surprises for the students. We want them to know up front what things are going to look like, what things are going to sound like, if things go wrong, how to fix things. We just try to walk through every scenario that we possibly can so that they're not surprised and they're ready for it. But when we're in practice and we have a failure, and we have a lot of them, it's really the students that pick each other up and build each other up, and they say, yeah, well, this might not have worked, but let's do it this way, or let's try it this way. And it might be another failure, but they learn that it's okay, we can try again. And we really offer a very safe space for our students, that they can feel comfortable to fail, and they can feel comfortable to be themselves. And I think that's what really puts us in that winning spirit, because we give them that freedom to fail or make mistakes or say something silly or have an idea that's kind of ridiculous, but some of those ridiculous ideas have turned out to be game-changing ideas. So but they know that they can have those ideas and say those things, and it's safe. No one's going to say anything to them about it being a bad idea or whatever. We're going to build off of it and take it to the next level. So every idea is valued, every student is valued, and Lawson and I work really hard to make sure that they have that safe space.
That's good. That's good. So the failures really prepare them for
Yes.
the stress of that day, especially. Talk about programs like robotics. We hear of athletic teams all the time, but these academic teams have such an important place, I feel, in the educational culture and landscape. So talk about the importance of a program like robotics.
These programs, for some students, this is kind of like their sport. It really is. They may not be the most athletic with throwing a ball and catching a ball and things like that, but when it comes to using that mind, doing that programming, this is their strength. And so robotics offers a place for pretty much every kid. because some of our students are great at programming, and they have that mind of building with Lego pieces, but then we also have students that are really strong with research. They're strong at writing. They're strong at presenting. Great presentation skills with others. So there's really a place for everybody in the robotics team. You don't just have to be the kid that's good with Legos.
Right.
You can be the one that's good with drama, or the one that likes to write a song to go along and express ideas. There's room for everybody in the robotics team.
That's well said. There are a lot of different skills that are put to work on a robotics team, so that's great. And robotics does spark interest in STEM, STEM careers, academic areas. So talk about that a little bit.
We've had several students completely change their career direction.
Oh, wow.
Last year we had one go from veterinary medicine to aerospace engineering. I had
Wow.
one come to me today that has been breathing, living, dreaming of a golf future, and she is very talented in golf, but now she thinks that maybe engineering is a direction she wants to go. And she was on our
That's
team,
awesome.
and they see the possibilities. I think a lot of students understand doctors and police officers and all those wonderful careers, but engineering is one that we don't always see, especially at the elementary
Yes,
level. So it opens up a lot of
yes.
doors, just the possibilities of what's out there, because there's a wide variety of engineers, and we need them all.
Oh,
So
yes,
it's nice
absolutely.
to see students being more interested in not just the common jobs that they see every day, but they may not know an engineer, but this gives them a little insight to what that might look like.
That's such a great point, about how this can help students really understand. I mean, engineering is something they don't understand at an early age, but this can really open that door and help them see what that is. So how has the robotics team impacted the school culture, the confidence, the leadership skills that they have? I know it's got to be exciting, and you talk about the cheering, and I can just hear it and feel it. So just talk about the impact that it has in your school.
Go ahead.
All right. Well, we've kind of built a culture over the past 13 years at Falston with robotics. There's a lot of interest. A lot of kids are interested in it, and then the school cheers them on. Our team doesn't. They didn't just present to judges at the tournament. They presented to their peers at school. They presented to teachers at school. To other people. The other students provided critical feedback that our team took to heart, and they would change things based on the feedback they were getting. So the other students kind of had a part to play in it as well. They're offering them feedback, but when you come back to the school and the team's been successful. It really pumps up the school. I mean, I believe there's a video floating out there somewhere, maybe on the Falston Facebook page that
Go look for that.
there was. It got rowdy. The whole school was out there waiting for them to
welcome
come
home
back, high
winning
fiving, going down the hallway.
I think our students have felt supported from the beginning.
That's
It takes
great.
all of us, just because we're the two that have coach behind our name, it takes all of our staff, it takes all of our students, and they support each other and they build each other up. And when they come back and they're grand champions, they get to express that. And it was just, our team they were floating on clouds,
They were.
because
They had a parade to
yes, they had
They
the
were.
parade, and it was a big deal. And I think it just gives them so much confidence in who they are and all that they've done. And even if we came back and we were not champions, I think our students would still support and love on these kids that have put in an entire year of time. And it takes a lot of effort. It's not an easy program to be a part of, because there's a big commitment to every single week.
I was going to say, how often do they practice?
We start the first half of the year, it's one time a week. By the end of the year, we're 2 times a week at least, sometimes even 3 if we can fit it into our schedules too, because we have responsibilities.
That
But
is
all
a
after
commitment.
school, and so they have to stay late, and
Commitment for the parents
Oh,
too,
parents.
because they've
commitments for
got
the
to
parents,
pick
and
them up.
our
and-
parents have been terrific.
Parents are
And they come
fantastic.
support them, and they're the ones cheering them
They're the
on.
ones cheering, yes.
That's great.
We're so thankful for the support that we have from our Falston community.
I love it. I love it. So you mentioned earlier the interest, that there is a lot of interest. So how many students you said earlier you had a lot to try out.
There were probably 24 to 30
Oh,
students that
wow.
tried out
24 for 6 spots.
for 6 spots.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
And you know, in the past, we had 2 teams once
Yep,
before, and that
yep.
was early on
Yep.
with robotics at Falston. And with limited resources, you have one table, you had
Yeah.
one robot, two. Well, we had a second robot that year, but it kind of spreads you thin. You don't have as much collaboration. Now, again, those 2 teams did well, but it's a lot more stress.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So what advice do you have for students who are curious about robotics? They want to get involved. What's your advice?
Come on, try
Either-
out.
either-
Yeah. Try out.
We really do have a place for everyone on
Absolutely.
the team. But I think what's so neat is when, like, I'm working with first grade or kindergarten students, and they're like, when I'm in 5th grade, I want to be on the robotics team. And they start so young, they just really have a desire to be part of the robotics team. And it carries on through all the grades and as they get older. And I think, you know, we have a place for everyone. We need artists, and we need speakers, and we need people that can research, and we need people that can think creatively and outside the box, and we need people that can build. So we just need everybody. We need a lot of people. I wish we could take more than 6, but that's our magic number.
The great,
So well
the
said.
great thing also is when they leave the elementary school, the middle schools have robotics programs as well.
Yes.
And they typically will have more than one team. So you know, so you have a student, you know, that doesn't make it in you know on our team in the elementary grades, they can try out again in middle school in 6th, 7th, and even 8th grade.
And we encourage them to do that.
Absolutely,
Right,
we encourage them
right.
to.
And there are other activities too, summer camps and even things they can do at home, their parents can provide probably to encourage that interest and that
Absolutely.
curiosity as well. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
It's so exciting to hear about. I love to hear about the academic teams that have the same kind of spirit and culture that an athletic team does, and just appreciate all that you do and have done for so many years. So congratulations on not only this year, but you know, the history of robotics at your school. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us for this edition of School Matters.
School Matters is a production of the Communications Department of the Cleveland County School System. For additional information, visit our website at www.clevelandcountyschools.org.
Hi, I'm Amy Doolin, Dean of Workforce Development at Cleveland Community College. Thank you for watching C19 TV, Cleveland County's hometown channel.